The Two and Out CFL podcast with Travis Currah and Sheldon Jones starts now.
It is late on a Wednesday night. That means it's time to talk about the upcoming week in CFL football. Sheldon Jones, I know it's a little late for your liking, but now I'm just starting to feel awake. Starting to want to create magic like we do twice. Okay, now I'm getting a little bit carried away. You create the magic and I just flap my gums.
I would disagree with that. I would say it's the other way around, but you know what? We are different. I am tired, but I'm here for our faithful Two and Out livers. All couple of you.
Shane, Austin, Tammy, Tyler, they're all ready to go on a Wednesday night. I love it.
We're making a tradition, and you know what? I'm here for it because I think we do our best stuff live. I think the first couple shows we got the little butterflies out of our areas, and now we're good to go.
I think eventually we might be able to go on at the same time.
Yeah.
But like I've said before, I am like you put John and Paul into a room and say, create a song in 5 minutes, it might not happen. But if you put some mushrooms in the corner, John and Paul in this other corner, and just say, have some fun, maybe magic will come out of it eventually. So, yeah, that's where we are right now. Thanks for being here with us. The only thing is that I'm more of a Nighthawk than Sheldon, and the time is going to change here in about a month. So Sheldon's going to be an hour ahead of me. And Alberta still, 90% of the country still changing the clocks for some silly reason, but Saskatchewan's got it right, my friend.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. You know, I actually like it because stuff gets on earlier. Or no, we're early right now, right? I can't remember. I'm tired. I'm tired. But here's the thing, okay? Everyone else should just stop changing their time.
100%.
I like not changing my clocks. I like seeing, but I also like seeing on Twitter and stuff everyone complaining because they forgot to change their clocks and now they're late or they just got one less hour of sleep. Go to bed an hour early. It's not easy. It's not hard. Just go to bed.
So there are some parts of BC, I believe like Fort St. John doesn't change the clock. Yukon, Nunavut. There might be a few other places, but those places got it right. Mm-hmm. And like, there are people that say, oh, I love the sunshine in the summer. If you're at my latitude, I don't need it to be sunny until 11 at night. Like, I actually find that overkill.
Oh, yeah. I want it to be dark at 9 o'clock because then it's like it's time for bed because I like to go to bed at 9 o'clock, except for on Wednesdays and Sundays.
9 o'clock, and we're 45 minutes at that. We might put you through the paces here. Austin says, I don't change my clocks. They change for me. Yeah, Canada Day fireworks at 11:30. If we didn't change the clocks, they might be at 10:30. Or you know what they probably do? They would spring ahead and leave it there. So then it would still be at 11:30. Matt says, we'll do it live. Yes, we will. We will.
Yeah.
And that's what we are doing here today. We should mention Thanksgiving coming up. So we've got a special edition of the show coming up this Thanksgiving. Howie Mooney is the co-host of the Sports Lunatics podcast. And he wrote a pretty cool book that he just released about a month ago called An Unlikely Story: How the 1981 Ottawa Roughriders Just Missed a Miracle. We go pretty deep on that 1981 team, but we paint the picture for you now. That Ottawa team was 5-11. They made it to the Grey Cup against an Edmonton team that was 15-1. They had won 3 consecutive Grey Cups, and this Ottawa team got off to a 20-1 lead. So we know what Edmonton ended up doing, and we kind of go deep into it, and it was a really cool chat with Howie Mooney, so check that out on Monday. So that brings us to a sponsored weekend in the CFL, WestJet Thanksgiving weekend, Sheldon. And I like a couple things that WestJet has been doing, completely off topic. Okay, I don't like this. They charge more for checked baggage now. They bumped it up by $5, but many of the planes now, no reclining allowed.
I'm here for that because I'm not a recliner and I don't like people when they recline in front of me. So yes, you charge me more to not recline. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think I would like to not have to pay more for bags. And I don't like
Yeah,
that
of
they
course.
carry on smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Eventually they'll charge for the carry-on.
There's actually a lot about the Canadian airline industry that I absolutely hate. And we could make a whole new podcast about it, but we're not going to.
No, we're going to talk about football. And week 19 begins in Regina, where the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Sheldon, 10.5-point favorites over the Toronto Argonauts. I realize that Nick Arbuckle has now been shut down for the season by the Toronto Argonauts, and Jared Dakey's going to start 10.5. I mean, this Rough Rider team, a banged up secondary, went against Montreal and their backup quarterback and got smashed a few weeks ago. Now that backup quarterback did start a Grey Cup in 2022 with Toronto and did win, and it was McLeod Bethel Thompson. So Daggy and MBT, a little bit different leagues there, but you seem perplexed by the big spread here.
Yeah, like I understand why they're going to call it that, but this is exactly just Rider fan PTSD. Like this is the type of game that the Riders always decide to fumble, and I just I hope I'm wrong, but they never they never prove us wrong. It's just it always happens. Like yeah, and when when Macumbo's out and Campbell's not playing yet, and who else in our lovely prep sheet that you've done for us? Roland Milligan, yeah. Like you're missing three of your stars on defense. That pretty much means that Exame is going to be probably starting, and we know what happened last time. But they have got some new recruits, so maybe a couple of those guys will slot in already. I did like Revis at safety, so I think I'm okay with him patrolling back there. But whether it's Jared Dagey, whether it's Chad Kelly, whether it's Arbuckle, the Argos still have really good receivers. And if they can get close to that target, if you're going to have some holes in the defensive backfield for the Riders, it could be a long day for the fans at Mosaic.
I don't know if this is a thing we get in the NFL. Do we get fans of a team worrying? Like, do fans of Kansas City or whoever worry about their kicker going into an important stretch of the season? I don't know if that happens, but that is where Rider fans are right now, other than the secondary and the injuries there, because they did add a few kickers to the neg list, and they ended up signing one of them, who was playing with Appalachian State, I believe. That's Michael Hughes. And there had been some talk that possibly the Riders go American at kicker, and I believe at points this season they have been starting 8 Canadians. So they do have the flexibility to do that. So it does seem like this final few games of the season, with a lot on the line here, the Riders are still going to be trying to figure out that place kicking position.
Yeah, I think the key word that you use there is flexibility, because with 1 being the magic number for the Riders to finish first place, whether that be a Rider win or a Calgary Stampeder loss, I think that now you have a perfect time to actually have a a kind of open tryout in game situations. I assume they're going to give Campbell Fair another game at some point. If not, they probably would have released him when they signed this new kicker. Uh, so we'll have to see. But when you're coming down to it, I don't know if I really want a rookie being in charge of kicking in the playoffs. But at the same time, like, the only thing nice about Brett Lauder this year has been his average, and I'm not saying that in a good way. He's at 68.9%, and that is terrible when it comes to a starting kicker in this league. So it seems like, maybe the Riders just need to work on their offense and maybe not worry about key field goals. And that's a huge part of the game gone if that's where they actually have to end up.
Tyler saying, let me introduce you to being a Minnesota Vikings fan where they cost themselves a Super Bowl trip due to a kicker when they were double-digit favorites in the NFC Championship.
I have no problem with that as a Packer fan.
So, yeah, the kicking position, they're saying Brett Lauder officially questionable in the injury report with the back issue. But
he hasn't kicked. Yeah. Apparently. So
we might get a newcomer again kicking here
honestly,
for the Riders.
Honestly, it's the time to do it because like the Riders should handily beat Toronto here. Will they? That's the other question. But when you should beat it, then maybe is the time when you actually can try to just see what this kid can do. Again, you can get in situations where you can just gamble instead and not have to worry about it. But real life situations are when you need to see if a kicker is able to handle it. Obviously, I heard Campbell Fair was hitting like 60 yarders in practice and all this stuff. And then when he gets into the game, he, the first one wasn't terrible, but the second one was horrendous. So, and he said he had nerves playing at home, and I get that, but you give him one more chance here, maybe, but it's time they need to figure out this kicking situation for next year because you can't go in with an unknown, I don't think, and you can't go in with Brett Lauder again. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the offseason.
Now, Marcus Sayles also hasn't practiced for the Riders. They have him listed as available.
Yeah.
Most of the people that cover the team are doubting that he's going to see the field this weekend. It could be one of those game time decision things. But when you talk about all these veterans, it basically looks like it could be a very inexperienced group out there. And look, Daggy threw for over 300 yards last week. I know there were 49 pass attempts or something crazy like that. He's got Mackay Polk that can make some plays, make some great catches, the rookie of the year last year, and touchdown Jake Herslow. We know that, and that, of course, the Canadians there that they have, whether it's Brissett, whether it is that fella from Laval, got the touchdown in the Grey Cup last year. His name, we'll get his name here, Kevin Mittal. There. Yeah. So they got some guys. It's going to come down to, I think, the Rider D-line. What are you seeing from them? Because sometimes it seems like the pressure's there, and then other weeks it's just not. Toronto's protection has been shaky. It certainly was last week against the Ticats. The Riders are going to need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, like you would think that they're going to go with pressure on the newcomer here and see if they can rattle him. But at the same time, sometimes it just feels like they outcoach themselves and are going to just sit back in the zone and just try to confuse them that way. I don't know. I hope that they do pressure because if you're able to give those receivers that you just talked about any time in the open space, then he's just going to carve the Riders at my feet, just like when McLeod was in there a few weeks ago.
It's unfortunate for the Argos, and I think for CFL fans. Wynton McManus, I think one of the best players in the game. He's actually been shut down for the rest of the season as well, dealing with a groin injury. He's played through a lot of pain this year. We've seen him limping off fields, knees, groin, things like that. He's always around the ball. He's always out there. So he's not going to be on the field for Toronto. AJ Ouellette has touchdowns in 5 straight games. I don't know. Maybe Touchdown Tom is going to be back in this one.
I don't think so. He hasn't been practicing.
Hey, if Ouellette's going to be getting those goal line carries, I know everybody's expensive in fantasy now, but if the Riders are able to get to the goal line, it's a good chance. AJ's getting the carries there.
Yeah, and he's closing in. Like it's between him and Butler, I think, for the league lead in rushing, I think, and he's second right now. Maybe it's not Butler, but I think they're going to really try to establish the run game with him, because now's the time of the year that they really want to get him going. And also, I with Thomas Bertrand-Houdon back, maybe they can build on a little bit of that with their kind of thunder lightning when it comes to the two of them.
17 yards separates the leading rusher and the third leading rusher in the CFL. Dedrick Mills, 1,120 yards for the Stampeders. AJ Ouellette, 10 yards behind him. And James Butler, 7 yards behind AJ. So it is going to be a race right down to the wire here between the 3 running backs. 26 touchdowns. Butler's got double digits on the ground. AJ and Mills both have 8 apiece. So quite the battle for the CFL rushing title. But the biggest thing about this game is what's on the stake, or at stake for the Riders. That is why I think they're such heavy favorites in this one, because they have so much to play for. A Rough Rider win or a Calgary loss means that the Riders finish first in the West. I believe that would only be the 4th time in the last 40 years. And they have a chance at being first overall in the CFL for the first time in our lifetime. For the first time since 1976. That is a ridiculous stat.
Yeah, but and again, that just shows what it's like being a Rider fan. When we were chatting with I forgot his name because he's terrible. When we were recording earlier with what's his name? Help me here. Howie, yes, sorry. When we were chatting with Howie, he was talking about all the kind of the heartache that Ottawa, being an Ottawa football fan, has had, and I feel that, even it's just my 40 years as the Riders, but it's just, I'm not used to seeing the Riders in first place. I'm not used to seeing the Riders constantly favored every week, even when they're not playing great. It's just a very weird situation. But
Matt saying Sheldon's on point with the names tonight. Great to see. You said the best shows came when we were live, brothers.
Well, I thought it was going to be starting at 8:30 or so tonight. A little off my game.
What's in that jug? What's in that jug?
I'm back on the Diet Coke.
Oh, you are? You're back on it? Okay. But there was a stretch where the Ottawa Roughriders won 4 Grey Cups in 8 years.
Yeah.
The Green Roughriders have 4 Grey Cups in 115. So
Matt's gonna call you out for getting Grey Cups wrong now.
Oh no, he won't.
I know he won't, because he's a hater for England. Stop telling him we're going live.
Matt, your paycheck's in the mail. So there it is. Riders Argos happening this Friday. The lights out game. So I do like that the lights should actually be out. It'll be a little bit later for Sheldon's taste. Might be some October chill in the air, but these lights out games look pretty darn cool, man.
They do look cool. And you know what? I'm okay if I'm out and about, if I'm in the stadium with my buds in the rich people seats. I have no problem staying awake. Free free ginger ale and Ruffles chips. Come on, man. I can handle that. But
You
it's
go
when
for
I'm
the
sitting in my
ginger ale?
because Diet Pepsi tastes like crap.
Oh, I'd go
Like
for root beer if that were the case.
it's mug root beer, and mug root beer is the worst of the root beers. So I can't.
7 Up,
The the
maybe?
first the first year that Mosaic Stadium was open, they had Mountain Dew as an option.
Oh, I'd go with that.
Was the choice, but then they took it away. Uh, but and they don't have Dr. Pepper. They, that would have been great too. But it doesn't matter. I can stay awake at Rider games. I can sometimes stay awake when I'm out at my parents-in-law house, but last week I fell asleep a little bit. But that's okay. We're
And
here.
according to the injury report, Anthony Lanier will not be making his return to Saskatchewan to play in the game. He's dealing with a ankle injury here.
That's a shame.
We have a Saturday doubleheader. It's the Ticats hosting the Stampeders, and things just get tougher for Calgary, doesn't it? Like, they need to get out of this 4-game slide. You know, they haven't won a game. They haven't won a game since it's Labor Day.
Yeah.
And
It's
now they're heading to Hamilton to play their former quarterback. So, yeah, this feels like it is going to be a tough assignment for Vernon Adams Jr. To get his confidence back. And you know what? I feel for the guy. That's all they talk about on TV. You know, I've been there when my confidence is shaken, and I'm not being talked about in front of, 500,000 people on TV. So it got to be tough for him to shake that, man.
yeah. I appreciate his honesty, but that's when I might have kept to myself. It's tough. He's had a rough go of it lately, and playing he needs to be able to get back into rhythm and figure this stuff out. But he's playing Hamilton, and we don't know if we're going to get the Hamilton team that showed up last week or the Hamilton team that showed up at Winnipeg the week before, because they have certainly had days where a good friend of the pod, and yes, I'm saying his name because I really want them to win this week, Corey. He's had to deal with some lows and some highs, but at the end of the day, I think if Calgary isn't able to figure it out now, they're just not going to be able to figure it out because Hamilton is the caliber of the teams that they're going to have to play in the playoffs. And it was only like you said, Labor Day, right around Labor Day, it looked like Calgary was trending up, and they would probably take over Saskatchewan for first in the West. And they ran into that Elks team, and ever since then, it's just they haven't been able to do anything. So they need to figure it out here. Can they? That's the huge question.
Yeah, it's been a spectacularly bad slide. It was basically around the time when everybody said, okay, Calgary's for real. And then it all changed from that point forward. I think maybe what happened is that, every single move they made, it hit. Like, everything worked out. They changed everybody on defense. It worked out. And then the injuries creeped in. And maybe they didn't have the best depth to deal with some of those injuries. And then, the wheels start to fall off a little bit. They didn't get the old nuts tightened after 100 kilometers, and they're almost falling off. Basically at Airdrie, right before the Calgary city limit. That's kind of what's happening here. They have made a change at DB. Tyler Richardson started, I think, 6 games for them this year. He's been released, but maybe some new help coming to the offense. And I think lately, Jalen Philpott's been, one of the most consistent contributors for the Stampeders on offense. At the beginning of the year, Moose, Damian Alford was making it happen. It looks like he was going to be a lock for Rookie of the Year. And then Dominic Rhymes. But Malik Henry, who has made electrifying plays in the CFL, hasn't played this year. because of an injury he suffered at the beginning of last season. That could be a spark for that Stampeders offense. If he's a full go, and hey, you got 3 or 4, and Clark Barnes, add him to the mix. They got a good receiving core. And they have a great running back, second in the CFL by 10 yards. Establish the run, get those receivers going, and they can be okay. I still think they can be okay. But Dave Dickinson says, it may be cliche, it's execution where they're struggling right now. As long as they can do that, they'll be okay. But it's not like they're at home against Hamilton. They're on the road, and that's always tough.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, it's tough, and it's a relatively long trip to fly out to Hamilton. And uh, listen, Calgary could have all of the all-star receivers, but VA is not on his game. If he is in his head about something, if he's hearing footsteps, he's not going to be able to get the ball to his receivers in a place where they're able to catch it. So he has to get an early rhythm. And Malik Henry coming back is great. I love the highlight catch that he makes, but is he going to be rusty? Probably. So he's going to have to knock that off and get a few catches and a few hits and kind of get back into game focus readiness. But they need to figure out a way to get Alfred back involved, because he was so dynamic at the beginning of the season. And when you have somebody like that, it just opens up the other guys like Rhymes or even Barnes, who he's made some really tough catches this year too. So like you said, though, they do need to establish a run game with Mills and get him going again, just so that they can have that threat of play action, or if they're gonna just go deep, because VA loves to chuck the rock, but more often than not lately he's been getting that rock picked off.
Now, you said it about the Ticats. They've scored 50 points combined in their past 2 games. Unfortunately, one of those games was 3. 47 last week against Toronto. I know it's the Argos, and the Stampeders defense has had moments of brilliance this year and long stretches of really good football. They're going to need to play that way if they want to get a win in the Hammer. Here's the thing, that Ticats D-line, and Julian Hauser, I know, he had 4 sacks a week ago. The rookie Philip Osai has been causing all sorts of havoc in the backfield. I think they're 4th in the league in sacks, but 1st in pressures, according to Pro Football Focus. So they have been keeping quarterbacks uncomfortable. And that's going to be a strategy for them against Vernon on Saturday.
Oh, for sure. Especially since he said he's lost his confidence. They're going to be blitzing the hell out of him, because if he's not confident, if he's not able to get those quick reads when he's getting blitzed, then they're going to force him into making errors or just taking sacks. So yeah, if you're Dave Dickinson, you got to figure out how you're going to combat an early and often blitz, because you have to build a rhythm. You have to get in there and quiet down, because those fans in Hamilton are loud, and they're excited because they have the longest active drought in the league when it comes to the Grey Cup right now, and Hamilton's pushing for first. They need to get a couple more wins to clinch it, and those fans are going to be there for them.
Look, it does look like that West final is going to be in Sask, but that East final, I mean, it's in Hamilton's control here. They're playing Calgary here, and they play Ottawa next week. It's probably likely going to be in the Hammer. And whoever it is going to the Hammer, whether it's the Alouettes or it could be 4 teams out of the West, one of 4, that East final is also going to be a battle. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but what I see with the Ticats too is, early in the year, Kenny Lawler was just absolutely lighting it up. Now, and we saw it last week, Keandre Smith back rolling. First 1,000-yard season in his career. And then they got 2 touchdowns to Brendan O'Leary-Orange. Now they're running the ball with Greg Bell. Yeah, there was that blip in Winnipeg, but it seems like Scott Milanovic has that offense firing on all cylinders right now, and they could go in any direction. If you got Kenny the King covered, well, that's going to open up the rest of that beautiful 65-yard wide field.
100%. And I know Calgary has tried to kind of fix it with getting Lorenzo Malden in there, but they just haven't been able to be as good on defense as they were in the early season. They're not, the offense isn't scoring enough points to win, but the defense isn't, negating enough points to win. So they really need to figure out a way to cause pressure on Bo, because he's been, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'd say he's probably one of the least pressured quarterbacks this season, just for the amount of times he's been able to stand back there and just chuck the rock down the field. I liked seeing Kenny Lawler just making some regular big catches instead of trying to make them seem like they were bigger this last game. Maybe he's listening to the pod. That'd be cool. But yeah, this could be a really good game, or it could just be a stinker because Hamilton just destroys them. I just don't know if VA is going to be able to get it back on track here. I kind of hope so, just for him, for his sake, because I am a big fan of his. And I'd also like it to put a little pressure on the Riders if they aren't able to make this or win this week. But it's all going to come down to just how much pressure that defense can create on Hamilton, I think.
We have another game on Saturday, and that is in Edmonton, where the Elks are hosting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And the big news out of Edmonton this week is that Justin Rankin, the big running back, has been extended through 2027. That is a big move by this Elks franchise. And you know what? I don't think it gets talked about enough. Like, a lot of the stars that come out of the NFL, they're kind of expected to be. I know you get your Tom Brady's that get, drafted in the last round or whatever it is, and they take over for an injury, but most of those guys drafted pretty high. They're touted to be starters. Last year, Justin Rankin's on the practice roster. Probably comes up to Canada not knowing what the heck he's doing. Uncertain future. He's in Edmonton, and now he's a star and has made some amazing plays over the past couple of years, and now he's there for at least 2 more years. So Elks fans are going to be very welcoming of that. He's the only player in the CFL right now, I believe, to have over 600 yards receiving and 600 yards rushing. So he's got 838 yards on the ground, 5.5 yards a carry, and then receiving, 633 yards on 49 catches. So what a threat he's been for that Elks offense, and he's staying in green and gold for a couple more years, at least.
Yeah, he's definitely the best dual threat back in the league right now. I think before you could have said it was Brady, but Rankin it's just his speed. When he's able to get the ball and get in space, it's like he's gone. The other teams just don't have a chance to tackle him. So I'm really happy that the Elks were able to lock him up, because I want to see these star players staying with their teams and building up that rapport with the fans, and them marketing and getting all they can out of just some continuity when it comes to players for jersey sales, everything like that. So I'm really glad to see Edmonton be smart and get this done before the end of the season. So, the Elks fans, it's going to be a very tough go to actually make the playoffs here. I know there still is a chance, but at least at the end of the day, if they aren't able to make the playoffs, they know that they're looking to the future, and they're already able to lock up a huge part of their offense for 2 more years.
Is Cody Fajardo the starting quarterback for the Edmonton Elks in 2026?
That depends on how much money Ottawa offers, I think.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting.
Well, there could be a lot of teams actually that, like, I think we talked about this last week, but we don't know if Harris is going to be back in Saskatchewan. We don't know if Caleros is going to be back in Winnipeg. We don't know if Brown will be back in Ottawa. Trey's for sure probably gone in Edmonton. What else?
Well, he's got 2 more years on his deal. I don't know if they'll cut him loose or trade him. I
Well,
don't know, but
I unless he agrees to renegotiate, like he's got
yeah,
guaranteed
yeah,
money in both of those. Like so, either you take the bullet and you cut him, or you try to find a team that's going to do like a sign and trade. Maybe I don't know, but I can't see them paying Trey that much of money just to sit on the bench unless they're going to actually give him another shot. But his confidence has got to be rocked. Like I think he's going to need a fresh start with a new team, somebody that actually shows that they trust him. Uh, for him
yeah.
to be able to get it back, I think.
Like you said, the Elks aren't out of it. I actually think here their best shot is to catch Calgary. Here's the deal. Well, so Edmonton's got a tough stretch here. They're playing Winnipeg here. Then next week they're in BC, a Lions team that's on fire and off the bye. So yeah, that's a tough assignment. And
Yeah.
then they actually play the Stampeders. So to find out what the Elks are made of, well, they got to beat Winnipeg. And
Yep.
I think Winnipeg is the problem that Edmonton ran into last year. They were catching fire. They swept Calgary in the Labor Day series. They had all this hope. And then they ran into the Bombers. And
Yep.
just what Winnipeg did to Hamilton a couple weeks ago, 40-3. I got a sense that we're back with playoff Winnipeg, and they're just, it's kind of unconventional the way they've got here. But Edmonton, look, if they win this game, then I would really think that the playoff hopes are because if the picks go the way I think, Hamilton beating Calgary, and Edmonton, if they beat Winnipeg, then all of a sudden things are really interesting, man.
Oh yeah. If Calgary loses again, I think them losing out is a very real possibility because you can't you can't get momentum. And if Edmonton is able to beat Winnipeg, think of the boost that gives them, and they have all the momentum. And then by the time they're playing BC, there BC might have already clinched second place and not have to worry about it. Because if Calgary does lose this week, then BC knows they can't get first place because the Riders will have it. And I think then BC would only need one more win to clinch second place, I believe. Uh, I could be wrong, but I I honestly think that there's a better chance of the Elks kind of overtaking Calgary than it is for Calgary to fall but still get to that crossover spot, if that makes sense. I
That
I
being
don't.
said, I mean, it's wild the scenarios we have still
Yeah.
here in the West. Like Calgary and Winnipeg, same record. BC's played one more game, so they got one more win.
Hmm.
But, Winnipeg's going to have a thing or two to say about all of this. What is wild about their record right now, Winnipeg, is that they're 3-5 inside the West. That is where they have dominated
Hmm.
since they've dominated the West. And this
Yeah.
year, Western teams, including this same Calgary team that hasn't won for a month, smashing Winnipeg by double digits. And my, how things have changed in such a short amount of time. Now, normally, I don't like to report the weather during the show, but Edmonton, this is going to be a real October game. A high of 9, rain expected. I think this is going to be an ugly, physical game between, Brady O and Justin Rankin. And going to come down to the trenches, and most games do come down to the trenches. But this one, it is going to be important.
Yeah, both teams still fighting for their lives. It's just going to come down to, I think, yeah, which team is able to establish that run, and then again, which team pressures the other quarterback, because Cody, we've seen him take sacks and not throw the ball away. And if you're able to force him to take sacks that can take you out of field goal range or something like that, force a long punt, that's huge to just to swing the momentum where it comes to where your starting position. And same for Zach. Like, there's been a lot of times this season when he's been under pressure and he's made mistakes. Or, I don't want to see him get hurt again, but if he takes a big hit, he's shown that it doesn't have to be the hardest hit for him to not be able to continue in a game. So I think Winnipeg right now is living and dying by Zach, because I don't think when it comes to an actual playoff game, Strevler would be able to do anything. And the Elks, like Cody, he's a gamer, and I don't think, as long as you're within a couple scores with 3 minutes left, I think that Edmonton could win any game they play, just because of the fact that they have Cody and Rankin, and they're able to get that job done. So this could be a really great game, to be honest, even with the crappy weather expected.
So I'm trying to go through the past few seasons, and just to see the last time that Winnipeg has lost in Commonwealth Stadium. And let's just say...
How far back are you?
Well, I'm now back in 2018. And still no... Ooh, 2018 was a bad one. Oh, Winnipeg won 30-3, and then the last game of the season in 2018, Winnipeg lost to Edmonton 33-24. So Winnipeg has played well in Commonwealth, and Edmonton fans will remember when Andrew Harris was a Bomber, he always had great games at Commonwealth, and I do think that has translated well over to Brady Oliveira. And the running backs we talked about today, we talked about Rankin, we talked about Ouellette, we talked about Butler. Oliveira's going to come into... I don't think he's listening to Two and Out saying, they didn't mention my name. But that number 20 is going to want people to know his name coming into the playoffs. And this is where the Bombers have built their team, and it's where they've had success. I don't know if Zach likes the cold weather so much, but the rest of the roster sure seems to thrive off of it.
Yeah, they've been built to be that team, and it's paid off, at least getting to the Grey Cup the last 5 seasons. So, Brady he definitely deserves to be up in the conversation of top 3 running backs in the league. It's just, I just think that this year he kind of took a little bit of a step. It's either he took a step back or just a couple of the other guys kind of stepped up, because it's just not clear cut anymore. I don't think this season he's going to even represent the West when it comes to most outstanding Canadian, because I think it's going to come down to somebody from BC, whether it's Rourke or whether it's Betts. I'm not sure, but I think a lot of people thought that Brady Oliveira was just going to have another season where he just ran wild, but for a long time there, it just seemed like Winnipeg wasn't using him properly, and I just don't understand why that was, unless they were just trying to save him for this time of the year, and now he's going to get 25 or 30 carries a game. But
well, especially because the new OC, Jason Hogan, was the running backs coach.
Yeah.
And apparently Oliveira loved him. I hope he still does.
Yeah.
The talk, remember last year where the starters in Winnipeg were so slow getting out of the gate. They had no preseason time. And O'Shea wasn't thrilled with, it seemed like, Brady's conditioning in preseason and throwing some shade his way. So I thought this year would be another massive year for him, and I don't know if it's all been his fault, but it just they haven't really been the same kind of offense through much of the year.
No, I kind of just thought that Hogan would keep Buck Pierce's playbook and just kind of kept it simple because that's what worked. But he obviously wanted to put his own flair on it. And again, I just think that coaches sometimes get too in their own head and they just try to, instead of doing what they should do, they try to be cute. And often it doesn't work out. But if I tell you, if I was a offensive coordinator in the CFL and I had Brady Oliveira, I'd be running his ass all game. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Now I'm watching the injury report in Winnipeg. Nick Dembski hasn't practiced this week. They're calling it non-injury related. It seems like every time. I don't want to speculate, but every time this happens, it's like they're a new dad or something like that. So positive things. Hopefully it's something positive going on there. For Edmonton, Nick Anderson, the linebacker that's been out, limited. And Jared Brinkman, the D lineman, has been limited as well. And Robbie Smith spotted there. I believe he's been on the 6th game, but limited in practice with an ankle injury. But the way things have been going in Edmonton, I would say don't fix what's not broke. I know they got that win last week, or that was a couple of weeks ago against Saskatchewan. All these close games, like they lose to Toronto by 1, they lose to Hamilton by 2, they beat Saskatchewan by 2. Like Edmonton is always in these nail biter games, and it could turn out to be one again against Winnipeg. We'll see what happens here. Edmonton can actually win the season series with Winnipeg. The thing is, they have to beat them by 2 touchdowns. And it seems like Edmonton likes to win by 1 or 2. So that might be tough to pull that off, but should be a fun one to watch. Saturday evening in Edmonton. And then we have the Thanksgiving Day Classic in Montreal, where the Alouettes, 13.5-point favorites over the Ottawa RedBlacks. The over-under at 51.5. They're going to be rocking in Montreal. Already over 21,000 tickets sold. It's going to be close to, if not a sellout. Davis Alexander back in the fold, looking to go 10-0 on his young career. This feels like a sure thing if I've ever saw one, and I don't want to write Ottawa off here, but this is walking into the bird's nest, I'm going to say.
Yeah, for sure it is. But this is the perfect time for a trap game to happen. I don't think that Jason Moss would let the Montreal Alouettes fall victim to a trap game, especially I don't think that Davis Alexander would either, but this is the type of situation where teams can't overlook the other team. Like a 2-touchdown spread, there's very few games that are going to end up in a 2-touchdown win in the CFL. So I think, it might be smart to throw some money on Ottawa there on the spread, but everyone on Ottawa now has to start playing for their jobs for next year. Even coaches have to start coaching for their jobs next year. So Ottawa can't just roll over and die here unless you are ready to no longer be a part of that team. So they need to figure it out. And Montreal, again, they also have to keep pace with Hamilton if they want to try to finish first here. So this could and should still be like a shootout game, but we'll just have to see what Ottawa is able to do, who they are going with quarterback, because Drew Brown got pulled after 3 picks against the Riders, and then Crum, came back and did pretty decent. So I don't know if they're going to give Crum the start here or not, but kind of they need to find out if Brown is going to be the quarterback of the future still or not, because if he's not, then now's the perfect time to just see what else you got in the cupboard.
Now there's all this talk about, who's going, and I think you brought it up, like who's going to be the successor to Zach Collaros. And I know they got Taylor Elgersma, the rights to him, but I think if you're going to put a guy as your starting quarterback to start a season, I think you want some CFL experience there. At least I would think so. Drew Brown, he turns 29 in the spring. He spent time in Winnipeg, and they had to let him go. Well, did they have to? Kind of went with I don't know if Strevler was a little bit cheaper or what it was there, but Ottawa was pretty, enticing for Drew Brown. And you said, hey, maybe he does go back to Winnipeg, but I still think he's got talent. We've seen him move the ball and command the offense pretty well, and it seems like once things go bad, they go bad. The turnovers, they mount, and then it's tough to climb out of that hole when you don't have a defense that can help you out really at all there. But Ottawa has to be the team that is hoping that coach's cap gets scrapped in the offseason, I would hope. And going into the season, Sean Burke, the general manager, and Bob Dice, the head coach, both were having expiring contracts at the end of this year, and they both got extended for another year. But if we put ourselves again to the beginning of the season, it's easy to look now and say that was dumb. They were 9-8-1. They made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
The way free agency went, every signal pointed to Ottawa having a strong season. And let's just say it did not go that way. So I don't know. Like, are they going to hang on to Dice and Burke? That win-loss record since Sean Burke has come in has been abysmal, man. There's no other way to shake it. 21-47-1 over the past 4 years. I can see why RedBlacks fans are pretty restless, man.
Oh yeah, like it's not good, and we don't want a situation where something to happen a third time. So they need to figure this out, and I know that they're going to be. I think they're getting pretty massive upgrades to their stadium next year, and so I think for half of the season they're only going to be able to use half of the field, so or the stands.
That was the talk, yeah.
Yeah, so they need to put on a show to get people to actually come out to watch games in that condition where there's all this construction and everything, and yeah, they can't go with Bob Dice again. They have to figure it out. They need to get a better coach, and with this operations cap, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it because.
Well, it might be Rick Campbell by default.
Yeah.
Because he's already there. That might be what they have to do.
I still think that Rick Campbell's a good head coach, so yeah. I think they'd be okay with that, but I am also not the Ottawa RedBlack fan who's been there with having Rick Campbell as a head coach already, and we're probably okay with him moving on. So
I think more fans were mad at Marcel Desjardins, the GM back then. That's nerdy CFL
I think that's
talk,
pretty fair too. Yeah, but Sean Burke needs to figure something out here if he's gonna get a second chance. Maybe because I think he inherited Bob Dice when he was the interim head coach, right? So he obviously decided to keep him, but they have to figure something out because obviously just buying free agency didn't work for them because they didn't have the proper coaching to make them gel. And I know there's been injury issues and stuff like that, but they also need to just figure out if Drew Brown's the guy or not. But if not, who do you go after? I don't think Crum's a starter. Like, Again, that's why I said, like, is Ottawa just going to throw a boatload of money at Cody to try to get him to come over there? I could see it. That there's not a lot of other options unless they're going to take a gamble on someone off their neg list and see what they can do.
Are we going to have a Chad Kelly bidding war in the offseason?
I wouldn't put it out there. I wouldn't.
I don't know if he's willing to play anywhere that's not as close to Buffalo. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Arbuckle. Maybe he decides that he doesn't want to.
Hey, Matt says a Jake Mayer bidding war.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, Saskatchewan might be in on that.
I just want Curtis Rourke to come here. A couple years, maybe.
Your dream? Well, maybe. Hopefully, you're patient.
Yeah. I'm nothing but patient, my friend.
Person Madude saying, with the new rules, where will the new kick convert go? I don't think we know yet, do we?
No, they said that would be something that would be announced later, but I assume they would probably keep it the same. Right now, it's like a 33-yard kick, a 34-yard kick, I think, something like that. So they would probably keep it like that. So it would be probably on the 10 or something, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm not Stuart Johnson.
You know how the BC Lions, they've got such a good Arrow Up series. Defend the R in Ottawa. I think Hamilton Proud, they had one of those web series come out. Please film the Rules Committee this year. I know that sounds extremely boring, but I don't know. Those guys, I don't know if they're going to have anything decided by the time the season starts.
The CFL needs to get a streaming deal for Friday Night Football with Netflix and CFL Unreal documentary series.
CFL Wired, it would be uncensored on Netflix.
Ooh, oh my goodness gracious. Speaking of uncensored, the Rogers, they were not on a 5-second delay after the Blue Jays game. Samuel Jackson was quoted a bunch of times.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
Matt says he'd pay so much for behind the scenes doc of the Rules Committee. Oh, who would be Toronto's representative on the Rules Committee? Because I want to see just Mike O'Shea's passive aggressiveness in this Rules Committee.
I could just see him just sitting around the table when they vote any votes on any rule changes, and Mike O'Shea being like, "No, it's fine the way it is. It's fine the way it is."
I am totally in.
I like Mike O'Shea a lot, though, but I really don't like when he nonchalant with the media and all that stuff. I don't care for that. But
so the CFL Rules Committee, a body comprising of the commissioner, head coaches, reps from the CFLPA, and league officials. Wow. Yeah.
I would. League officials. Al Bradbury. Tom Gillespie. You guys suck.
Oh, we are so off the rails, but I'm here for it. How far now? We updated the power rankings, on last week's episode.
Yeah,
I still find Montreal is a little bit low. I know they're playing a team that does not have much power in Ottawa. But is there a chance that they start rocketing up? And they play Ottawa next week too. Oh, poor Ottawa.
If they get another couple wins and Alexander moves to 12-0, then yeah, I'll have no choice but to move them up a little bit. But when you play Ottawa,
Ottawa, Winnipeg for Montreal.
Yeah, and a gust of wind in Winnipeg again.
I think it was in Montreal, by the way.
I know I was in Montreal. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I know.
Well, there you go. You look, those are slick, man.
They are. I like them a lot, except the lens keeps popping out when I
Oh,
drop
does
them.
it? Oh, does it?
Yeah.
My secret for if you're thinking fantasy, I'm pretty Alouettes heavy. Tyler Snead could eclipse 1,000 yards for the first time in his CFL career in this one. And Stevie Scott the third. You need a cheap running back. I think he is the guy for the Alouettes, even though the RedBlacks, if they're good at one thing, it's stopping the run. They're actually pretty good at that.
Yeah. I guess I'll just give you my whole lineup.
Oh, okay. Yeah, get into it.
I'll get into it, man. I have the Hamilton Tiger Cats defense because they're kind of cheap, and we'll see what VA can do. I have AJ Ouellette as my running back and captain. I also have Thomas Bertrand Houdon because I think the Riders are going to be pretty rush heavy. I have Mackay Polk because he's playing the Riders. I also have Tyson Philpott, and my flex, I have Brady Oliveira, which of course means my quarterback is Mr. Daggy of the Toronto
Really?
Argonauts.
Your
Yep.
PTSD runs that deep? Or are you just hedging your bets?
Both. I just wanted to have, like, I didn't want to spend the money on a quarterback this week, so I just decided to. But I might switch Oliveira for Rankin. We'll see how I feel on Saturday morning, kind of.
Okay, so I got the Alouettes defense. Davis Alexander is my quarterback and captain. Stevie Scott the third is my running back 1. Javon Leake is my running back 2. I'm iffy about that. If he gets 5 carries and cross my fingers for a return touchdown, I would be very excited. Tyler Snead, pairing him with Davis Alexander. Keyshawn Johnson, because Deontay Myers is actually questionable for this game for the Riders. And Mackay Polk in my flex. So that is the team that I have put together. I know we promised that we would pick the winners after each game. We did not do that this week. So
we forgot. It's fine.
We're going to do it in a very annoying way, according to the Apple Podcasts reviews. And are you giving us a...
No, I was just trying to get back in focus. I wasn't pulling a Matthew Betts this time.
I thought that's what you were doing. Okay. Week 19 of the 2025 CFL season. 19 already, man. Begins in Regina. The Riders 10.5-point favorites over the Argos. The over-under at 49.5 in that one. Okay. I know that there's so many injuries going on in the Riders secondary. I know that you are worried that they're going to blow it and not clinch the West. It would be Rider fashion to clinch the West with a loss and a Calgary loss rather than a Rider win. But I'm going Saskatchewan on Friday night.
Okay. I'm also going Saskatchewan, but if I was betting the spread, I'd be taking Toronto because it's not going to be winning by 10 points.
Now, Saturday starts in Hamilton, where the Ticats are 2.5-point favorites over Calgary. The over-under at 56.5. So the bettors are hoping this one is going to be a shootout a little bit here. However, I think this one is one where you want to pick the Ticats to cover. 2.5? You kidding me on that one? Hey,
yeah,
it just feels tough that the Stamps are going to come out of this slide in Hamilton. I see the Ticats attacking them from all angles, whether it's O'Leary Orange or Smith or Lawler or White or Giovanni Robinson or Greg Bell. I see the Ticats beating the Stampeders at Hamilton Stadium.
Yeah, I think I'm picking the Ticats too. The only way I see Calgary winning is if it is an absolute shootout where VA is on and the teams are just trading touchdowns and whoever gets the ball last. That's the only way I can kind of see Calgary winning here. So I am going to take Hamilton.
Now the Bombers visit Edmonton as 3.5-point favorites. The over-under at 53.5. I don't know if this one's going to be a high-flying aerial attack. I do see it being a ground game from both teams, a rough and tough battle right from the very beginning. And even though Edmonton is fighting for their playoff lives, I see Winnipeg in playoff mode, off the bye, leaving Edmonton with a victory, Sheldon.
I concur with everything you say. I am picking Winnipeg this game.
Then we got the Turkey Classic. I don't know who's going to be calling the game. I do hope Rod Smith and Dwayne Ford are reunited because I really do like their sultry tones, and I do like seeing the guys carve the turkeys. The former O-lineman and fullback, they want to get to work on the turkeys on Thanksgiving in Montreal. 13.5-point favorites over the RedBlacks. I'm going to say that the Alouettes are going to have a defensive score. They're going to light up the RedBlacks right from the very beginning, and they're going to cover that 2-touchdown spread. Alouettes beat the RedBlacks.
Yeah, I see Alouettes winning, but I don't think they're gonna cover. I just don't see that many games in the CFL going that with that huge of a margin of victory. But I think Montreal does win, but more likely by a touchdown maybe. But Ottawa is so bad that maybe it could happen. I don't know.
Thanks for joining us live on YouTube to preview Week 19 of the CFL season. Vicky, we met her at Wayne's World before the Labor Day game. She's going to be in Edmonton for the game, so enjoy that Thanksgiving trip. Richard is a new subscriber to the show, joining us live. Thanks so much for joining us. Sheldon, enjoy the game in Regina. I will be in Jasper National Park. So some kind gentleman bought my tickets for a steep discount on StubHub. He'll be enjoying the game, and I'll be maybe hanging out in the snow. And I actually got my winter tires on today, so I'm ready for a Rocky Mountain road trip. Check out our story of the 1981 Ottawa Roughriders with Howie Mooney coming out this Thanksgiving. Enjoy the turkey. Travel safe, stay safe, take care of yourself and each other.
The 2-0 CFL podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Travis Currah and co-hosted by Sheldon Jones. Subscribe to 2 and Out on all major podcast platforms and YouTube to keep up to date with future shows.